Welcome to MarcusG.tv. I'm Chef Marcus Guiliano. I'm a chef on a mission. Today's mission is organic, but it's a different kind of organic, something I've never really covered before. Organic marijuana. Yes. I do not partake in marijuana. I do not look bad at people that do partake upon marijuana, but this is an interesting article and an interesting topic. And it deals with organic, so I thought I would report on it. Colorado lawmakers reject organic labeling for marijuana. You've often heard people say that do partake in marijuana that they have organic marijuana or no pesticide marijuana and this and that. I don't know if they really know or if they grew it themselves, what exactly, but that is often a term that I've heard people use. Oh, I got this good organic stuff. So here we go. This is from May 4th, 2016, Colorado. This is on the Cannabist, thecannabist.co. Some state senators worry creating certification program for organic marijuana would violate national organic rule. Imply pot use is healthy, is the tagline here by Kristen Wyatt, the Associated Press. A Colorado proposal to certify organic marijuana has been rejected amid concerns the labels would imply that pot is healthy. The bill rejected in a legislative committee Tuesday would have created the first of its kind label for marijuana that has been produced without pesticides. The proposal failed 4-3 in a state committee. Some lawmakers said the labels could wrongly imply that marijuana is harmless. It would mislead people to think marijuana doesn't have any health effects, that it's okay, said Senator Raleigh Heath, Democrat from Boulder. It kind of puts a stamp of approval on it. The sponsor of the measure scoffed at the suggestion. Does that mean there are no health effects? That it's healthy, it's wholesome? Asked Senator Pat Stedman from Denver. I don't think anyone is going to be under any false illusions. So, there's many different reports about, depending upon which reading, is marijuana healthy for you? Is it harmless? Is this and that? There's report after report about reproductive issues with males and all kinds of sort of things. But that's different than cannabis oil, the marijuana oil, the cannabis oil that's used to treat cancer. So don't confuse smoking a joint with actually taking the extracted oil. It's two totally different processes. Okay, totally different processes how you get that oil out of the marijuana leaf versus smoking marijuana. Your yield is so minuscule. It's just like if you were to people say, "Oh, I have this rosemary oil or oregano oil." Oregano oil is very popular among health advocates because it has a lot of immune boosting properties. It's antifungal, antibacterial, antiviral. It's basically anti-everything. So people assume that they're taking olive oil and throwing oregano in it and extracting the oregano flavor and whatever's in that oregano into the oil, and that's totally wrong. What they're doing with that oregano oil is they're actually distilling it. So if we were to take oregano, big bunch of oregano, and rub it in your hands, and that residue that's left on your hands, well, that's sort of the residue in the oil of the plant. That's the lifeblood of the plant. That little bit of oil is what they're extracting out of the oregano. The same thing with cannabis. That's what they're extracting out, a very, very small amount, which has different properties than the rest of the plant. Okay, the lifeblood of the plant has different properties, has concentrated properties. So don't confuse smoking marijuana with cannabis oil, with marijuana oil. Now, I know that some of you are going to claim, oh, well, it's good for glaucoma, it's good for this, it relaxes me, and this and that. And I'm not doubting that, and I'm not here to talk and talk about any of that kind of controversy. I'm here to simply say, hey, marijuana, they use a lot of pesticides on marijuana, and Colorado was the first state that would have been able to say, hey, we're going to label it as organic, but now there's a problem because, but this is like the same thing with like vodka. They label vodka organic, right? And by all means, vodka is not healthy at all. We all know vodka is not healthy. We all know gin's not healthy. We all know, but they'll label that organic. So I'm kind of seeing a problem with Colorado, not with some of these senators that didn't vote for it, because The organic unhealthy products already exist out there, and marijuana gets a bad rap. Now, I'm personally in favor of legalizing marijuana to a certain extent, especially not prosecuting all these people who are in jail or who have consumed marijuana or are caught with marijuana on them. I think the criminal system is really offset because of marijuana use, and I feel that marijuana and alcohol are more on the same lines as opposed to some of the much more harder core drugs. We hear about heroin, crystal meth, and all these other things. Basically, marijuana is something that you grow, you dry it, you smoke it. Some people say juice it. There are a couple people out there that say, oh, you can juice it while it's fresh and this and that. And those are some extreme raw foodists out there that I've heard that from. But let's jump more into this article here. Other lawmakers worried that the U.S. Department of Agriculture would penalize state agriculture regulators for labeling pot as organic. The bill called for state regulators to come up with exact rules for getting organic labels. Colorado would have been the first state to regulate organic labels in the pot industry. Consumer confusion over organic marijuana peaked last year in Colorado when Denver health authorities seized thousands of marijuana plants from growers suspected of using off-limit chemicals on their plants. Now that right there is not good. Off-limit chemicals to begin with, even those approved chemicals, are not good. Those pesticides, those funky things that they make our produce grow bigger and giant size, all that kind of stuff is, there's a lot to be said for organic. So I can understand that if I were to be consuming marijuana, I wouldn't want funky chemicals on my marijuana. I don't want funky chemicals on any of the food that I'm consuming, the drink that I'm consuming, or even on my clothes or in my room or this and that. My wife and I go through great deals to try to avoid all these toxins, even though it's virtually impossible. We're very conscious about every single thing we purchase, right down to our bed linens, and even the paints we use and stuff like that. Very, very conscious. Most of the plants were ultimately released, but some were sold with names suggested the products were organic or natural. Sponsors said that consumers are currently confused about organic marijuana claims. Cannabis consumers or tomato consumers or any product consumers who want to know what goes into what they are using really has a right. I totally agree with that. Whatever you're consuming, you have a right to know what's going into it. And that's my biggest thing. When you go to a restaurant, ask what's in your food. Ask them to see a label. And I know it's in a food a lot of times, and I know when I ask a question that they're not really being honest with me or forthright about what's in the chemicals, what's in the ingredients. When I ask questions, a lot of times they say, not a lot, but several times I've been accused of conducting an investigation at that restaurant. Well, yes, I'm conducting an investigation on what I'm consuming because I care about what I consume, and I want to make sure that what I'm putting into my body is the best option. If there's something that I feel uncomfortable with from a restaurant, I'm going to tell them, I'm going to order something else, or can you help me pick something else? So in a restaurant or anything you're buying, it's not going to be forthright and tell you what's in their stuff. So I totally agree. If you are a pot smoker and you want to know, and you're going through this in a legal manner, such as in Colorado or Seattle, whatever area you're in that has legalized marijuana, you have every right to know what's in it. Just because it's a so-called taboo doesn't mean that you should be screwed as well, and you shouldn't have to know what's in it. I totally agree with this. So I think that there should be some kind of organic, some kind of pesticide-free, not only claim, because anybody can claim whatever they want, but much more than a claim, it's some kind of a certification. And I think that instead of the government doing this, the Colorado government, whatever it is, I think that maybe an independent organization needs to step up to the plate and say, hey, we're going to be willing to certify your cannabis, your marijuana, your pot as a better product, as something that's lacking or free of pesticides or chemicals. I don't know if they can use the word organic or if they can come up with their own organic certification, because there are separate organic certifiers throughout the world, and especially throughout the country. Like, the Colorado has their own organization, California, the Oregon Tilth, QAI I think they're out of San Diego. So there's a lot of different organizations throughout the country and through the world that have their own specific standards for certification. A lot of them try to conform with the USDA, so they can put that USDA logo on there, so it's a dual certification. But I think that something needs to be done here, and if you are a pot smoker, I think you have every right to know and be concerned about what is going into your marijuana. I'm Chef Marcus Guiliano. Thanks for watching. If you like my videos, please hit like, subscribe to my channel, and definitely pass it on.